All right, so I hear this constantly about four-stroke versus two-stroke. Which one's better? Which one's not? One costs more, one doesn't. Well, I can assure you bike A and bike B cost about the same. Because I'm going to tell you what, sure, the two-stroke is cheap right out of the box, mounts right up and it's good to go. But you're going to mod it. And by the time you're done putting all the stuff on that, it's going to cost just as much as that. Now, on the other hand, the four-stroke usually costs more up front to put together. Okay? It's not turnkey. You're going to have to mod stuff. So it takes a little bit of common sense and a little mechanical engineering. I built this one 2 years ago. And the only thing I changed in it was the head and flywheel and some stuff like that. And it wasn't because it broke. It was just because I wanted to do it. So I have a better cam, better head. It's actually a Honda GX 120 head on that. They do fit on the 78cc bottom half since it's the same bottom half. It's got a different valve set. It's got a 212 exhaust valve in it. 12-pound springs, billet flywheel. Changed the ignition system in it. It has the, delete for the governor, all that stuff. I have a CVT on this, which starts out with a ton of torque and ramps up to, higher speed output to the rear. Now, a lot of people go, oh my God, the rear. I did a belt drive too, which I have no problem with. You got to use gator grip. So, anyways, that is the equivalent to a 4DT sprocket. And this engine here, if you didn't modify it, would be about 6K RPM max for a four-stroke. Then you get a thing called valve float. And you would have to upgrade your flywheel and your valve springs to go past that point. Because the flywheel will come apart about 6,500 RPM. Okay? So, there's a lot of things to go over. I put a CVT on this one. It starts out with a ton of torque and then ramps its way up. It's a Series 30 go-kart one. And I have the 6-inch back one. No, I'm sorry. I have the 6-inch front one, 6-inch back one. So it starts out 1.5, goes up to 6, and then it starts out at 1.5, or I'm sorry, 1.8 in the back, up to 6. So, I got a whole build series how to do that. It is a 5/8 shaft that I rekeyed for 3/4 for that. So there is a build video on that. But yeah, there's a lot of things to consider when building a four-stroke, okay? Now, yeah, it costs more up front and everything like that, but this is the same build I've had for 2 years. This maxes out about 51 miles an hour. And I'm not going to lie to you, it takes 1.25 miles to hit that speed because the CVT needs time to expand and shrink. Okay, the engine tops out in this at 7,500 RPM after all the mods and stuff to it. So, now on the other hand, this is a saw build. Okay, now for two strokes, okay, I built that bike and this bike around the same time. Actually, this one a little bit after. I have had 5 engines on this. 5 different engines that have toasted out over time. Had some minarellis, a YD100, one saw build, this saw build. So that's 5 total. So add that all up because the lifespan of these is nothing like that. That's reliable. Like when I take this on a ride, I don't worry about it breaking down. I mean, worst case scenario, that back wheel bearing would go out on me. And that's why I have that new, worksman wheel on there. Other than that, I've never had a problem with that build. This one, on the other hand, you have to worry about, you know, Chinese casted parts and something's going to blow, or if you get a modified engine, it's going to blow. So, just to say you went bare stock PK80, put it on here, and built this whole bike, you're looking at $1,200. That's a bare bones, you know, one of those, what? I don't even know what they call them. It's like the Screaming Demon or something. It's $1,200. The entire thing on here, if you were to build it, is about probably $1,800. Okay, that's as is. This, on the other hand, you know, by the time you're done, you're going to be spending about this much upgrading stuff like the brakes and all that on it. Because they give you a bunch of tacky stuff. The handlebars suck, all that. So you're going to be upgrading it. By the time you're done, this and that cost about the same. I'm just saying. And you all know you're going to get a bigger engine and toss it on there. So you're going to be paying the money. Whether you go that way or that way, you're not paying any different. One, yeah, is up front to get it going. Once you get it going, it never breaks again. I mean, you change the oil in it. That's it. You know, you don't have to mix gas, all that crazy stuff. I pull into a gas station, I fill it up, and I keep going. So, you know, that's the upside downside of both. Now, on the other hand, this goes about, I'd say 50 miles an hour too, 51, whatever. You know, even. So, that's the other thing now. Okay. The saw builds and well, just in general, all the higher end builds and stuff, they're gonna bank some serious RPMs. Okay, this is how this all works. When you're doing a two-stroke, okay, you usually want to go for like a smaller sprocket to make you go faster and all that, because these engines typically top out at about 6K when they're stock, okay? It's a stock PK80 we're talking. It's roughly 6.5K, somewhere's in there. That's the safe operating, you know, RPM range of one before it starts throwing bearings and rods and all that fun stuff. So the same thing goes for a four-stroke. It's about 6K. You're stuck at one sprocket. Okay, goes to there, to the back. So people will put a smaller one on, all that, to try and get more speed and all that good stuff. You know, you can get the higher end builds like a Minarelli and stuff, and they're going to do like 10 grand. The S.A.F build here does like 11, I think. So, you know, the way that all works, it translates the speed when you throw it in the back. So on this one, I actually have a 38 tooth, and that seems to be the sweet pod of, like, you know, transferring of power and getting up and going. And yeah, a lot of people say there's no such thing. This is one of them. This is a 38 tooth sprocket. So now this, on the other hand, has the equivalent to about a 44 tooth on a belt drive that goes up to a 2-inch sprocket. I'm sorry, 2-inch pulley. And then it goes to the CVT. So this is cruising at 7,500 RPM. And as that belt system, you know, expands and contracts to move the different, you know, ratios, it puts more power to that as you keep going. So very smooth, easy transfer of power. You don't need to bank serious RPMs like that on this, because the CVT is doing it for you. If you don't have a CVT, I mean, you're going to expect maybe 38, 40 mile an hour. But it's going to be a little harder to get up and go. So, you know, you're kind of bound by the gear ratio principles, but I'm just saying, in general, this one has always been reliable. I don't do anything to it. I don't change anything. I don't have to, you know, constantly tinker with stuff falling apart. There's no vibration. This one, on the other hand, is, you know, actually, I don't have a lot of problems with this one either, but a lot of them will have vibration problems, things falling off. This one, quiet. This one, loud, even with a silencer. So, you know, take that into consideration. All honesty, if you want a thrill, it's going to be the two-stroke, because it gets up, it goes, and it flies quick. You want something that's easy cruising, long distance, four-stroke. So, you know, this is old reliable here. When all the other two-strokes and stuff keep breaking, this one's always still going. So for a little while I took it apart because I had a frame crack, which was not actually the whole engine's fault and stuff. A guy at the store decided to knock it over, and you know, it cracked my CVT case and stuff when it fell. But you know, the force of the engine hitting the ground actually cracked it. So that's fine. I caught it in time before anything. They repaired it, and here we go. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Those are the real legit things behind it. I mean, the four strokes are super reliable. You know, you build it once and it just keeps going. They're a little awkward. They're a little more heavy. I mean, this two-stroke here, it's a 460 sub build with the you know, the reed valve, all that on it. And, you know, it's got the big exhaust and all that, because you're going to have a chamber pipe and all that. So that's got to be included. And you're talking about weight, okay? This, and that in total is probably about 20 pounds, the whole thing. This, on the other hand, it's probably, let's see, the one on Kristen, now this one here, let's see, when it was shipped to me, was 42 pounds. So I would say that's pretty safe to say, maybe 50 pounds total for the CVT in that, in the exhaust, because the exhaust is just basically a pipe that runs, you know. So, you know, it is probably a 2-to-1 weight ratio, if you're going to look at it that way. Another big thing, too, is that plate down there. You really got to get a cast iron one, which is something else a lot of people make a big mistake on, is it starts jumping and all that. Because this moving is going to screw you bad with the chain and stuff. Because like I said, it is a heavier thing, so you really need a good mount. But, you know, all in all, this one, reliable. This one, not as reliable. This one is definitely a thrill seeker, because you can really get this up scary fast if you want to put a smaller sprocket on it. And it will get up and go, and you know, you want to have a near-death experience, that's definitely the way to go. For fun factor, this one, definitely reliable for long-distance cruising without the fear of having stuff explode. So, you know, let's see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's really the whole thing of it. You know, more money up front, less money up front. You're going to pay more to modify it down the road. This one's pretty much good to go. You know, if you were looking for something reliable to drive all the time, 4-stroke. You're looking for something that's a thrill, 2-stroke. If you're scared to build something like this, get a Fat Moto. They need just a little bit of modification to make them reliable, but then after that, like the new generation one, I think has even got all the stuff with the jack shaft fixed. So, there's that option, which is $1,500 basically out of the gate. Somewhere's in there, 1,800. But like I said, you're looking for that Screaming Demon, it's the same price with a basic 2-stroke. So, I mean, price really isn't a factor in this. It's the upfront cost, really. But anyways, I hope that gives some people a, pretty good idea what you're getting into. I mean, but, that's survived basically 5 engines worth on that one. So, you want to add up the cost there. I actually saved money making that one versus that one. So, but anyways, alright, peace out.